Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got your questions here regarding Raw, got more questions about Extreme Rules and Payback, and so on. So let's get started here today with the first one from Candy Ass Kayfabe. Not Kayfabe Candy Ass, but rather Candy Ass Kayfabe. Hi Aaron, what were they thinking with that whole Kane and Daniel Bryan Brie Bella segment? It was awful and unbearable to watch, and seeing the babyface run from a fight is incredibly damaging for Daniel Bryan, and by extension the WWE title, in my opinion. Please answer in video, thanks. I have seen a lot of different opinions about that angle from Raw. A lot of people hated it. Someone even asked me on here if I think that WWE is purposely trying to sabotage Daniel Bryan's run as WWE champion so they can tell the fans, hey, we told you so. We told you Daniel Bryan isn't an A-plus player and he's not a main event guy. I don't think that that's the case. I find it hard to believe that WWE would actually purposely book Daniel Bryan the way that they're booking him. My guess is that they thought going in that this was going to be something better than it ended up being. I think that they had high expectations. They thought, oh, this is brilliant. The fans are going to love this. It's going to get big ratings. I think that they thought it was going to be something amazing, and it didn't quite work out that way. It was a bit of a train wreck, definitely. I don't really think that Bryan came off that bad like a coward, because ultimately he was trying to save his wife from Kane and trying to get her out of the building, get her out of harm's way. So, I mean, that was his intention from the beginning, was to leave the building with her and get her to safety. But yeah, it could have been done differently. Maybe you could have had Bryan actually try to fight him or whatever. But, I mean, they were trying to make it like a horror movie. That's what they've been doing for the past several weeks. The horror movie where the monster keeps getting up and, the male has to try to keep the female away from the bad guy. So, I mean, it's that story they're trying to do. And I think one thing that hurt it here, and I'll get to this other question here from Kayfabe Candy Ass. There you go. Do you think or hope Brie Bella is only accompanying Bryan for this horrible Kane feud? Because I think her being by his side, complete with bad acting, is hurting Bryan a bit. I think that she's part of the storyline because they had this whole idea to have Kane as the horror movie monster chasing the girl. Also they had her come out right after Bryan's father died, and, maybe somebody had the idea at that point. So I don't know if that's the case. I'm assuming she's only going to be involved with Bryan for this storyline. Could be wrong, though. I don't think it's good long-term for her and Bryan to be on camera together. That's just my opinion. And, going back to what went wrong with this whole angle, I think a lot of it had to do with Brie's acting. I mean, it was really bad. Bryan's wasn't that great either, especially when he was lifting the hood of the car and trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I mean, it wasn't that good acting-wise. But yeah, Brie was quite bad. And maybe if you had a better actress in that position, it would have been more entertaining. But this isn't a horror movie. It's WWE. It's sports entertainment or whatever. So you're not going to get top-level acting here. It was just very cheesy, and maybe under different circumstances it could have worked. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe there's some people out there that find this to be highly entertaining, and maybe they'll tune in or tell their friends or whatever, and maybe TV ratings will go up. I mean, who's to say? I mean, I don't think it makes a big difference one way or another. But yeah, I didn't think that these segments were all that entertaining. I mean, they're entertaining, but not in a good way. All right, this one comes from Animal Brock Dave. Hey Aaron, what's your thoughts on Mick Foley as of late? I thought he was disrespectful about the Warrior Hall of Fame speech, and now he constantly criticizes WWE. It seems as though he has turned into a wrestling smark. Keep up the good work, bro. I think that Mick Foley just wants to try and make a difference, and maybe the fact that he spoke out at the Royal Rumble after that whole thing went down, that WWE did make some change. Maybe he feels that he is, in a way, like CM Punk. He's the voice of the voiceless, and he can say what the fans are feeling and get that out there, and maybe WWE will take notice and do something. So I think his heart is in the right place, and he's trying to make positive change. Some people could see it as him just trying to draw attention to himself, and maybe he's bitter about his relationship with WWE, and that's why he's going on these rants. I agree with him for the most part. I think he's very logical and practical when he discusses issues in WWE, and he talked about the Daniel Bryan thing, and he's very concerned about how they're handling him. I think the fact that Daniel Bryan is WWE champion and they're doing these really cheesy storylines, I mean, that's an issue. If Bryan wasn't the champion and he was in the upper mid card, I think that people wouldn't be bothered as much. I think it's the fact that when you're WWE champion, you should be in largely serious storylines that aren't all over the top and very cartoonish or whatnot. So, I mean, he does make some very valid points. All right, this one comes from Live Life Loudly. And as I say that, a plane's coming by. Hey, Aaron, what did you think of the Shield versus Wyatts on Raw? Do you think we could have the Wyatts join the Shield and Evolution storyline in the near future? It would be an historic feud. It would be a historic feud. I thought that the match was good. I don't think it was one of the better Shield versus Wyatt matches. It might have been actually the worst of the bunch, but that still doesn't make it a bad match. It was still very good. Part of the problem is that the crowd was actually quite dead for much of this match, and they were dead for most of the show. Just wasn't a great crowd. Wasn't the the epic crowd reactions that you had in previous encounters. As far as them getting involved in the storyline later with the Wyatts, getting involved in the Shield Evolution storyline, I don't think that's going to happen in the immediate future. Obviously, you have Shield versus Evolution as the focal point, and then you have Wyatts versus John Cena. I suppose. Maybe for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, you could do the Shield and John Cena versus Evolution and the Wyatts, some sort of big multi-man match. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Wouldn't surprise me, in fact, if they did that, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, it's certainly feasible that we'll see some sort of big match with all those guys in one match. All right, this one comes from KVD93. Given the results of the cage match, where do you see Bray Wyatt going from here, and what, if anything, happens to Cena? Well, time will tell. Some people think that this is the beginning of bigger things to come for Bray Wyatt, that he's going to be the new Undertaker, so to speak, that he's going to be this supernatural-like character, this cult-like character that's going to be a major force in WWE for years to come. I still don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'm still a bit skeptical about it. As far as John Cena, don't see anything really changing with him. I know that everyone's talked about the idea of him turning heel, or I don't really like to use the phrase turning heel because he's already a heel to a lot of the audience. I like to look at it as a change of character, just doing something different with John Cena instead of the whole hustle, loyalty, respect, and wearing the hat, the T-shirt, and just doing his same routine every week on television, just changing it up, changing his character. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think that WWE is going to milk it for all it's worth, and they're going to keep having John Cena as the same character until the merchandise stops selling, and that might be never. He might always be selling merchandise, and therefore, their attitude is, if he's selling merchandise, why change up his character and take a risk we don't have to take? All right, this one comes from Child Incomplete. Hey, Aaron, do you think if rumors are true, a Buried Alive match is best for Kane and Daniel Bryan? I'm fine with a Buried Alive match. I mean, you obviously have to do something after you're coming off a Extreme Rules match. And what do you do now? I mean, you don't have a regular match after you had an Extreme Rules match. So you have to do something to up the ante. And I'm fine with a Buried Alive match. We haven't seen one in quite some time. And it would be an interesting way to finish this feud between Daniel Bryan and Kane once and for all and have a definitive end to it. So, I mean, that's really what I'm hoping, that that this will finally be the end of the feud, and then Daniel Bryan can move on to something else. All right, one more question here from Craig Humpage1. So now Rusev has lost his first name too. What is with WWE and this obsession with one-name superstars? Well, it's not WWE. I mean, other organizations have done it. I mean, going back to WCW, you had Bill Goldberg, and they ended up dropping the bill and just calling him Goldberg. I mean, it's just a marketing thing. Sometimes WWE feels that if a wrestler has too long of a name or if it's too complicated, they want to keep it as simple as possible and have a simple name that it's easy to remember, easy to pronounce. I think it's just a marketing tool, and they feel that just calling him Rusev is more marketable than calling him Alexander Rusev. And same thing with Big E Langston. They just call him Big E. It's short, it's to the point, and they just feel it's easier to market these guys with the shorter names. So I mean, that's really all it is. All right, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it, Facebook and Twitter, and any other website that you go on. Spread the word about NoDQ&A video. Send a question, spring.me/AaronRift. Check out NoDQ.com. Quick plug here. Got the King of the Ring tournament on NoDQ.com starting up this Friday. It's a fantasy tournament to crown the annual NoDQ.com King of the Ring. So check that out. NoDQ.com/polls. First poll goes up on Friday. And I will see you guys next time for another edition of NoDQ&A video.